Hey, can everybody hear me here? Hopefully the audio level's fine enough. Let me turn down the music a little bit. I like to have something in the background. Okay, I mean, it's a little dark in here. I probably can bring in some light. Whatever, we'll keep it like that for now. How's everyone doing? Is anybody here in the stream? Anybody in the chat? Sorry if the camera's a little out of line for this. Probably could fix that. Give me a second here. Preview. Oop, I enable the preview here. I don't want to lock the preview is locked. Okay. How do I adjust the camera? Camera here. Oh, I think I have it clipped or something. Let's see. What's the offset on here? I know I have some kind of clipping on it. Doesn't really give me an option to easily slide things. Well, I'll just adjust it manually. Adjust the camera a little bit this way for now. There we go. Move it over here. Maybe we could. Okay. Yeah, a little dark. How's my audio levels coming through today? Is it clear? Can't stick around, but hey, what's up, Melly Melon? Long time no see. Thanks for coming by. Cool. Audio levels being good is great. I turned up the amplifier a bit on my mixer for my mic, just in case, because I think it was a little low last time. It's cool. Looks like a few people in the chat, so I might just gonna start talking here. So last time, what did we do? Basically, if we go over like the history we have in the in my notes, my planning notes, we see that like, well, we did some like adjustments to make like the jump feel less floaty. I know I did some changes for walk speed as well. There's some issue with the left-right inputs not flipping based on the player character's facing direction, so I fixed that. And there's a bug involving action transitions when landing. And yeah, there's also an issue with the characters when flipped to face their opponents. Now, I think at the end of the stream, I was messing around with potentially refactoring how and when we're checking for flipping, but honestly, at this time I'm not going to do that because it's going to require a little bit of a architectural change that I want to think about a little bit before stepping through that. So last time, I think we left with a few changes that I want to revert. And I believe that is, where is those changes at? Is it here in the comment? Yeah, there's, see, we made these changes. So I'm just going to go ahead and just revert that. I'll get back to it. So, I forgot how to revert changes here. Discard changes, there we go. Yeah, okay, so we should be able to build now. Here. How's everyone doing while we're building the game and such? Y'all having a good Friday evening out there in the States? If you're in Europe, I guess around close to midnight or something, right? Okay, everything looks good. Push characters around, jump around. I'm doing good here. Okay, so yeah, actually today the thing I kind of wanted to cover is input history buffer kind of thing. So basically, our game currently doesn't have a buffer at all for inputs. Right, and we can cover what that is, but the issue is, I can show you real quick. Let me get my controller running. So it's pretty obvious. Okay, so if I hold my button here, the character will continue to attack, right? And that's because we're only checking to see if the button is on or off. So that's no good. What we really want to happen is character to only attack when you go from a state of not pressing the button to pressing the button. So the way we can solve this is introducing input buffering. And let me just pull some notes here. Technical design, not really a technical design thing, but I put some notes in here anyway. Okay, and as a good developers, we always, you know, date our notes. So today was the 27th. Cool. Anyway, so the issue with not having the ability to detect whether or not you press the button or not is because we're only checking the current state of the button, right? We have a function that we call for polling input, and I can just quickly pull that up, I believe. What is it? Let's see. With an attack button, right? So, for example, we just check to see if the keyboard key J is pressed currently. That's what this function does. It checks to see if it's pressed, and then it returns true in that case, and we assign our attack button to true. So as long as the key is pressed, we're going to get the attack coming out. That's not really a great way to do things, and we also kind of want to abstract the input. Right now we do both keyboard checking and gamepad checking, right? So I think this is the keyboard section here, and we have a gamepad section somewhere else. Where do we put that? Oh yeah, we got poll game input. So we have this function which handles the gamepad. And it's the same kind of thing. If we look at here again, we have everywhere it's like, is gamepad down? And if it is, we set attacking to true. Okay, we don't really want to do that. Let me step through kind of what we want to do. Right, okay. So what we really want to do is we want to have at least not only what the state of the input is this frame, we want the state of the frame, we want the state of the input from the last frame. And that way we can see if the input has changed. So let's just make things simple, like, right? So each of these brackets represents the state of the input for this frame. And then if we keep a history of, say, 2 frames here, we can see this is frame 1 and this is frame 2, right? And the input, let's just say input is currently the state of the input, let's say the state of the button is up on the first frame and down on the second frame. Well, if we just check to see if it's up on the previous frame, after seeing that it's down on this frame, we can see that the input state has changed, right? So we know when things have been pressed. And conversely, the same thing. If we want to see if the input has been released, we can check to see if the first frame is down and the current frame is up. That's pretty simple, but I wanted to start from a baseline before we move on to more complex input buffering issues. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go through and add this input buffer somewhere, right? So we currently have a component for input, I believe. It's been a while, but let's see. Yeah, so we have this component for input that gives us like all the states of the buttons, up, down, left, right, back, forward, attack, right? Left, right, back, forward, attack. So this is the state of all our inputs right now. What we're going to want to do is not just have one set of these. We want effectively a new structure that stores all these so that we can store multiple instances of them. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a new struct here, right? So, oops, hold on. So actually I don't need to do this. We already have this input command. And actually, where are we storing this? We are storing this in, again, it's been a while, so I need to reference my things. Okay, we have this input command storage in our combat state context, and I think each character has a combat state context, right? Oh, this is for the callback, sorry. I think every character just gets an input command, a single one currently. Yeah, right, we have it stored in this game state input component, so it's in the input components, right? So let's see, we have the input components, and let's see where all this stuff is. I'm trying to remember. Oh, here it is. Okay, this is where we store the components, right? We get 2 input components, and this just initializes them using Zig syntax I kind of forgot about. Okay, so well, actually this is assigned to an input component struct. Just reviewing stuff here. Okay, so currently input components only store 1 input command. We're going to want to change this to input buffer. So we're going to leave the command there for now because it's useful for us to update the current state of inputs, but for now let's just call it input buffer, right? And as in our example, we want to have two frames of input. So just as a starting point, we need to make an array, right? I think that I'm gonna have to review my Zig stuff. So we have an array of input commands instead, right? Is that the syntax for it? People are gonna have to remind me here. What is the syntax for all this stuff? Yeah, I think this is a type. And you know what? Let me open the Zig notes that I made because it's very useful. Because, okay, we have an array literal, get the size of an array, because I'm going to have to remind myself of all this as well. I've been programming C++ all year, so. Okay. So what do we have here? Array littles are just like this. This is one way to initialize an array. But I want to initialize a fixed size array. So I think this is okay. Let's see. I actually wish I kind of had like made an example of of arrays like where we do that. So let me see. I think I have something around in our code. Oh, I don't want to look at any of that. Oops. Okay. I need to limit the search to my current project. And what is the way to do that? The current folder. Oh well. Let's see. Oh yeah. I'm just trying to look for examples of code we have here. Makes things a little easier if I look at how I've initialized it in other places. Just to reboot my memory here, you know? Okay. Just gonna double check on the array notation. So we can pass in like a const here and initialize a fixed size array. Great. And then we can initialize it like this. Okay. I'm just gonna copy this real quick. And where was our input component thing? Was it in this? No, input component was it in the game? No, I don't think it was in game. It must have been game state, right? Input component. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the reference is this, right? So what do we have here? We want to have a const, let's say const max buffer, max input buffer. Oh, what does this do? Input buffer size. Input buffer size equals 2. Okay, we want that. And then we can easily just put this in for this. Get an input buffer of 2. Our type goes here. And then we can do something like this, which is kind of like is alias for however many elements are in here. And we want to initialize it like this, right? This gives us default initializers, and then we need to put in the number of elements, right? So that should work. That should give us our initial input buffer. Hope some of that's all pretty clear. This is kind of Zig notation for saying, hey, put this many elements together. I forgot exactly what this operator is called, but something like that. Maybe have it here. Initial array was 10 elements, yeah. So, yeah. Alrighty. Where was that? It was in our game state. Cool, and I can delete this comment here. Okay, so now we have an input buffer. So what we want to do is actually store for every, oh, that needs a, sorry. Oh, it's a comma in Zig, I forgot. Okay, there we go. So what we need to do is actually not only have the buffer, but we need to know which current frame we're on. So one way we could do this is store the current index of the buffer inside the input component itself, right? And just for like simplicity's sake, I think we're going to do that. So for now, we're going to call it buffer index, and I think it's I32 is the type, and we can initialize it to 0. I think that'll work. Hopefully I'm not wrong here. Okay. So we're going to go through and now we need to assign for every frame this buffer basically. So for simplicity's sake, let's just do everything from where we actually update inputs. Okay, so it's kind of annoying we have all this code for doing like all the keys and all the buttons, but and we're not going to want to copy paste this updating the index right every time. So we want to do something where like apply the current input buffer value, right? I want to apply the input for the current frame to the current buffer for the input command that's in the current frame of the buffer, right? So what we can do here is go through and so I'm trying to think straight here. Okay, so we need to add a new function, right? And I forgot what was the way Zig handles functions. Okay, so you just make it the last thing and then a struct. So it's a public function that, you know, let's just say update input for now, simplest thing to do. And we're going to want to, I think the easiest thing to do is just pass in the whole command input component struct. So let's see, this is called input command for now, and make an input component. And what's going on here? Why isn't it like this? Oh, because it's input, sorry. It's input command, that's right. What's the issue here? And so what we want to do is something like this. I'm going to fix it here in a second. We'll do like buffer index equals input command, right? Okay, and what is the issue here? What is it like this? I don't know if this is actually a bug or whatever in the compiler, but let's just build and see if it gives an error. Because this might just be an IntelliSense kind of issue. Error, expect return. Oh, so we need return type. Sorry, that's what it is. We need a void return type, I think. Is it void? Oof. Honestly, I forget this whole syntax for Zig. Sorry, it's been a while. Okay, functions that returns a value. What if you don't return a value? Forgot what happens when you don't return a value. I don't know. Let's just look at all the public functions. So you do, okay, that's what you do. So you do this void, I guess. Okay, still complaining about something. Expect a return type expression found. Maybe it should work now. Not sure. No. Use the undeclared input buffer. Oh, that's right. Zig requires you to pass in the current struct value, right? Okay. Sorry, just trying to make myself familiar with stuff I already knew, but have now forgotten. So, so we need to pass in a self, something like this, struct, right? So to pass in a self, but it needs to not be this. It needs to be an input, a pointer to this. It shouldn't be const though, right? It should be. Oof. Isn't it self? Is that how it works? Sorry. Self. Is it self dot input buffer? Is that the syntax? Sorry. Oof. Oh, sorry. Yeah, just trying to remind myself of all the syntax stuff here. It's been a while. Oh, it can't be const, right? It can't be const, so that's the issue. And this is complaining about something. I don't know. We'll just build and check. Use. Oh, it's got to be just be very, very precise here, right? That's. Use function perimeter. Oh, sorry. I'm having brain issues. Okay, that works. Okay, cool. Yo, what's up, Jace? How you doing out there? Hope work's not getting too busy. Oof. Okay, so we have our update input command. So we assign the value that we pass in. So what the plan is to call this function update input on our input buffer inside of our input polling section to update what the current input command is for this current frame. But the thing is, we still need to kind of like increment this buffer index. So what what I'm going to do for now, and we're just going to keep it this way. So it's kind of a simple thing to do is we want to increment this buffer index. Sorry, it needs to be this. We need to actually wrap back around to the first element once we hit the end of the array, and this kind of makes it what's called a ring buffer. If you're not familiar with the ring buffer, it's just really simple. You just keep a fixed sized array, and you have an index which wraps around to index 0 once you get past the last element of the array. So, and I can just show you a simple implementation here using the modulo operator. So, yeah, so we'll do this. It's going to equal itself. So the first step is going to do, we're going to equal itself plus 1 modulo operator size of this. We could do this. This is a little problematic though, because if we don't make this size, if we don't initialize the size of this array using this const, well, this will become an error. So actually, what we want to do is get the length of an array, this array, to be safer. So, if you don't know what a modulo operator, this is just it gives you the remainder of any division. So since this is the size of the array, and say if the array is size 2, you divide by 2, well, you get 0, right? And that wraps around. If the value is 3, well, the remainder after division of 2 is going to give you 1, so you get index 1. If anybody wants me to explain this operator, I could, but I think for now we're just going to move on. So this is basically what this is. But the bigger issue is saying in C you would probably have to do something like this. Maybe at compile time you can get the I forget if the current version of C lets you do it, but not C++, but C. C++ you can get the size of an array at compile time, but maybe you don't know the size at compile time. So you want some safe way to get the size of this array. In Zig, in this case, it is compile time. So I'm trying to remember if I know how I get the size of an array here. Yeah, get the size of an array, message.length. So is it just a length for an array literal? Okay, I think that's fine. So hopefully we can get the self.oosh.buffer. Does that work? So this will wrap the index around once we've reached the end of the array. I'm just going to wrap this up for posterity's sake here. Okay, so this should give us a ring buffer, and every time we update the input, we do this. But actually, we're going to want to do this once a frame. That's one thing we have to do, because if we call it more than once a frame, we're going to overwrite a previous frame's input, which is not good. The other thing to keep in mind though is if we use this buffer index for reading as well, we have a problem. So actually, kind of the thing we want to do is this, so that we're reading from the current value that we've just written to, if we're going to read later. So we're probably going to want to have a function that's like get current input command or something like that, right? It's a very wordy function, but we'll want something that looks like this, right? That returns the value for the current value, so for the current buffer index for the current frame. So we'll have something that's like we still need a self here. We can make this const. So I think this is okay. I think this syntax works. So we can do like self dot put buffer self dot buffer index, right? Oh, that's not what I want. I think what's wrong with this? Doesn't like that. We'll compile here. Oh, that's also wrong. I love the compiling so fast. It makes a huge difference on iterating on this stuff. Expected type expression found const, so that's not actually right. Do you have to do pointer? Is that the case? Always forget. Actually, I think it's const by default. That's the thing, right? I'm gonna double check if I can just do this. And I think it will pass by. I think the compiler doesn't pass by copy. Yeah. Okay. So that works. So just reiterating what I was talking about before is you're going to want to increment your buffer index, sorry, your input buffer index first. The only issue with this is the first time you increment this, it's going to be at index number 1 instead of index number 0. And for various reasons on like how you're doing things in the future, you may not want this. So we can do kind of like a trick here where we just actually go to the last array in the index when we initialize, and then when we first run it, we get index number 0. Okay. So now we have the ability to update our input, and we also have the ability to get the current input command, right? Which is what we're going to need to be able to detect whether or not a button's been pressed. Doing pretty good on time here, right? Got 30 minutes? Cool. Sweet. Okay. Now what we're going to have to do is now go through our main input polling code and now call this function, right? So currently, let's start with the keyboard input because I think that's the simplest thing to do. And we might want to add some debugging too, so we can easily see what the value of our input buffer is every frame. Okay. So this is actually our controls here. So let's go ahead and make a new input command here. So input command, and this is not C, so we want it's just input command. I really need to stay consistent on my formatting rules. So I think this is the right way to do stuff in Zig. Oh, that has to be a var. So var, oops, var this, and then instead of doing this whole input component thing like this, and right now you notice we're only doing player 0 for keyboard. We're going to start with keyboard and go on the pad here in a second. So we're just going to kind of copy what's going on here. So we're going to do like up equals true, for example, right? So just going to go through and update all of these. We got, what is it? Down equals true. And one thing to keep in mind too is once we initialize this, it should be default value, I think. Yeah, in Zig, this should give us default value. Yeah. Hold on. Oops, I'm actually messed up here because that's not the syntax for specifying a type. Where was it at? The syntax for specifying a type is this. I actually don't know why it's not giving me an error here. Syntax for specifying a type is this, right? And I think this gives us default value. Maybe we'll spit out an error if it's not the case. But anyway, you want to go through here and do like up, down. Okay. Up, down. And then we want to do forward and back. Forward. So actually, if we want to be super lazy, honestly, for the time being, we can just keep the value that's here. So, blah, blah. So I'm going to do this. We're just going to assign the value that's at the end of the frame to where you're actually already storing, right? So let's come over here, and we have this value for the input command. That's already been handled for us, the polling aspect of it, right? But what we need to do is update the buffer. So so we have this, and we have input commands. Okay. Sorry, brain state dot input components dot 0 update input. So we'll pass this in. I think that works. I think that's the syntax for calling something with self, or am I crazy? Let's run it anyway. Oh, that is an error. Okay. Just reminding ourselves how Zig works. Variables must be initialized, so it's not initialized. Thank you very much, Zig. Did not give me default, which is, I think this is the syntax for it, the default initializer. No, it is not. Use the undeclared identifier input. So I'm actually have to include this. I have to use this, right? So I forgot how that works. So where is our input.input command? Input.input command. So let's use we use it here. Oh, no, that's where, sorry. So we use it here, and that's where does that come from? Input.zig, okay. So we're going to have to include that here at the very start of our game. So let's just drop it here. Okay. Now we should be good, I think. Nope. Unused local variable. Oh, oh, yeah, right. That's right. So technically we didn't even need to do this, but I'm just going to skip that for now. Ooh, okay, what's the error? Attempt to dereference non-pointer type. So it's not a pointer type. So it's what, 44? Oop, 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 oop. Oh, so it's not a pointer type. Oh, I thought I made it a pointer type. Why did I change that? Remainder division with I32 and usize. Sign integers and floats must use rem and mod. Oh, so there's actual mod command in zig. So I can't just do that simply, right? Okay, because I think our buffer is I32 and this length is a usize. Well, I think technically I could do. Hold on. If I do usize here, this should be okay, right? Make this a usize for now, just to continue. No, it's really spitting out a bunch of warnings. Error is ignored. Consider using try catch. Oh, okay. 483. And we're just going to use try for now because I'm not ignoring the error. So, okay, so that runs. Cool, it doesn't crash. Yay. Okay, cool. So now that we have this, our first attempt at updating inputs, we want to actually check to see if the press happens, right? We don't have any debug information spitting out yet, but let's just jump over to our code. Oh, one thing actually we need to do is we can get the current input. We still don't have a way to check to see if the input's been pressed. The easiest way to do that is actually just to check the current buffer value and the previous buffer value. So we can say, and we're going to have pass in the, we actually have a bigger issue here is we would love to be able to enumerate all the potential input values. So we could just pass in what input we want, not the whole command. But we'll get to that because it's probably more of a zig thing that I'm not familiar with. In C, it's easy enough. We would use like an enum and use a switch, or not even a switch. We would just convert that enum to a integer and get the index into a array of inputs. But in this case, we're using a struct, so we can't easily do that. We probably use a switch. Let's get to that here in a second. So let's first start out with the idea. So like was input pressed, right? This means was it pressed this frame, whatever. So we're gonna have to pass a bool. Do we have any other bools here in my project? I'm gonna check this because I want to check the syntax. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So was input pressed here? Let's just return false for now, and then we'll come in and implement that function later. So, for example, let's go to our attack. Is that we have a common states? That's right. Yeah. So where's our attack transition? So if input command attack is pressed, we go to attack. So instead of doing this, we'll do was input. Oops, sorry. Oh, sorry. Ooh. Oh, so I thought we had input. We don't have a buffer input component. Oh, I didn't copy the input components to that yet. Okay. Sorry. We need to store the input components in our context. Our context is just something, if I remember correctly, that has like all the different state variables for a character. And you can see we have input command here, but we don't have input. We don't have the input component. So actually what we want to do is have the input component. I think, is it just input component? Oh, actually we just want to have a pointer. So we need to do something like this. Yeah. So let's put it before physics component here. This actually might give some errors depending on where we've initialized stuff. But we'll go try to fix those up here in a second. This is the joy of programming. You know, you get stuff like that where you're just like, what is going on? And then you gotta go fix it. Okay. Okay. It's probably gonna spell an error for us because we'll have to initialize this here somewhere. Actually, where do we initialize it? Like if we search for that, maybe we'll get something. This is probably more valid thing to like quickly figure it out. Nope. I don't know where we're at. So the quickest way is just to build it and see where the errors come up. It might be a lot. Okay, duplicate struct field input command. Oh, it's called input command. Sorry, it means input component. Input component. Ooh, okay, there we go. Container component has no member input component. So where is our input component? Or what is the input component called? I thought it was called input component. Yeah. Do we not export that component? Oh, maybe I just put it in the game state for convenience sake. Like, where's our physics component? Sorry, physics component. That's in here in our component. Oh, so we need to move the input component here, I guess. I think that was one of our older components, and I just kind of didn't bother to move it. Okay, let's just move it there for now, so it's consistent. Alrighty, probably gonna get a bunch of errors we'll have to fix up. Again, stuff like this makes it a little difficult to do these kind of quick videos, more 1 hour videos, but we'll do our best to get through this. So I'm gonna dump it here on the top real quick. In reality, if I was doing like a proper game, I'd probably put this in a separate file. But for now, just keep things kind of like compact. I'm sticking to this. Okay, so let's go find what our errors are. Can I jump to the error? Can I just quickly jump to it, please? Yeah, there we go. Alrighty, so the issue is input command. Okay, we need to include input commands, right? So put equals, I think it's import a zig, is that right? Use an undeclared input component in game state. That makes this fine. Go to 120. It needs to be component, I think. There we go. I'm still complaining, but let's see what it says. Is it because I didn't make it public? I think I need to make it public. I think that's the issue. Yeah, it needs to be public. Okay. Fixing up some bugs. 120. Undeclared input component. Yep, there's going to be a bunch of places where I've used this input component probably. And hold on. That's not where I want to be. I want to jump here. Okay, yeah, enemies component. That's right. Alright, just gonna go through here and fix up all this stuff. What? Open. Didn't like it. Okay. Manually go there. There we go. Context input command. No member was, oh, because I started working on this, right? That's right. Okay, great. So like, I think I have to make that a public function. Is that what's going on? It's complaining. No, it is a public function. Why can't I? Maybe just see if that was pressed. See. Oh, it should be input components. Oof. Oh, that's correct. Okay, cool. It's too close in naming, so yeah. Okay. What was our first argument on there? Wait, what does it say? Expected 0 arguments, found 1. Oh, yeah, so we're gonna have to pass in self, right? That's fine. Just a quick check. Unused function perimeter, yeah, okay, cool. So, I guess we're going to learn a little bit of Zig here. to do what I want to do. So what I really want to do is, if we jump to the input command code, right, we see that there's a bunch of different fields in this struct, and we want to return the value of that field and the previous for the same field for the previous frame to see if there's a difference, like which I showed you in the example. So we have to do some kind of switch statement, and we have to introduce maybe some kind of like enum, so we can like name these particular fields. I could have done this differently. I could have made I could have used an array instead of a struct, and just assigned an index to each one of those input values, and just use an enum or something as a set of offsets. But since we haven't really needed this up to this point, it's been fine. We've been checking the value directly. So there's probably something clever in Zig where we could just like loop over each of the fields and return the value depending on the index of that field. But I don't know if order. I think order is guaranteed, but I'm not entirely certain about that. Okay, so what's the best way of going about this in Zig, I wonder? Let's pull up our Zig notes. Do we have enum? Do we have switches? All right, yeah, so here's an example. I'm glad I've actually took notes on this. So we could switch, we could take an int to an enum, combat state 200, and if the combat state is, I don't know what the 200 is here for, but we can just look it up on the Zig notes real quick. Zig, what is it? What do we got here? I think let's get the version we are using. I think, yeah. Okay. So the integer value and the destination type converts an integer to an enum value. Attempt to convert an integer with reference to no value in the chosen enum type invoke safety checks. Okay. But that makes sense. I just don't know. Oh, the destination type and then the enum value. So I think this example just converts this to a combat state, right? And I don't know why 200 is the thing I put in there, but it is there. So cool. Give me a second here to sort out my thoughts. Okay. So in Zig you have like an enum thing like this, right? And I guess I have that somewhere. And I've already probably done something like this in Zig. I just forgot. It's been a long time. Okay. Yeah, we can check our enums in our code, right? So, we have jump flags. This is flags, and okay. So, and if we look at what we do with jump flags, what do we do with jump flags here? We probably have something, a switch somewhere that uses it. Let's just search for jump flags. I don't look like it did anything with jump flags really. What about these other enums? What about action flags? Is that really the only place I've... Let's see what we've done here. Okay, so we do have a switch here. Okay, so we can do what I'm thinking of doing. Okay, let's see. All right, so what I was thinking. Oh, it's actually in the same file, so that's kind of nice. What's the issue here? Oh yeah, because it's not used. Okay, that's fine. All right, so what we're gonna do is return. Alrighty, what does this do? Const forward speed I32 is equal to. Oh, this actually returns a value, right? So I think I'm just like spitballing here. Let's just say pressed equals bool, and we're gonna switch on. When you pass in a new enum, right? And so we can do. Let's go to our input file real quick. Okay. And just to say, let's just call this input names, because I'm not clever here. So we just want to do up, down, left, right, back. I don't know why we have left, right, and back and forth. I forgot why we did that. Maybe because we wanted to check whether or not those inputs were pressed separately, because back and forward is it's relative to the character's facing direction. We can get back there, but we're just gonna leave it as is here because I forget exactly why we did that. Okay, so we have these an enum now for input names. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. Push on through. Alrighty, so we can now switch on this stuff, probably. So we can do, what do we want to call it? Input name, because I'm lazy. Input name, is it called input names? Is that right? No, we call it input to input names, so because it is in the input module. So input.input, did I make it public? Does it need to be public? Probably has to be public. I forgot. Okay, let's back to our input file real quick. Oh, it needs to be public. So let's say shoot. Already. Back to our components. Should be input names. Good. So we're going to switch on the input name. And I wish there was like a quick way to like dump all the different options, but that's not going to be the case for now. So there's probably a more clever way to do this, but I'm just going to do it the most straightforward way I can imagine, which is just pull the value directly for each option. So in this case, what is it? Is it dot? Yeah, it's dot. So it's dot up, and we're going to return self dot input buffer, and we want the current value, right? We want the current value of up. That's going to be up, right? But we want the current value of up and the current last value of up. So if we have self.buffer index, and honestly, we can do current input command like this if we wanted to. So to make this stuff a little cleaner, we can do like get current input command, and actually we're going to do self.get current input command. It's a little wordy, but this is more of a tutorial series than than actually making a full game for shipping. And that's fine. So we have the current value, and if the current value is true and the last value is false, we want to return true, right? So which indicates that the button's been pressed. So we can do get last input command, right? We can do last input command, and naive thing would do is put minus here to get the last index, but as we know, if we are at 0, we're going to go down to -1, which is no good. So we can use this modulus trick again to get the proper index for wrapping around. So we're going the other direction instead of forward, right? Technically, we only have 2 right now, so we could just plus. It would give us the same effect, right? 'Cause it's only 2 elements in the array. But we could, in the future, we could potentially have more elements. So we don't want to do plus. We want to get the last value. So first, we'll do this, right? We'll get like the self.input buffer.length again, so we can get the remainder. But the thing is, we don't want to have -1, right? We want to wrap around. So what we're going to do here is actually add the length. This is just a really common trick when in doing these kind of wraparound buffers. So you'll start at the very end, right, of the buffer. Well, actually, when you do modulus, this gives you index 0, right? But if you subtract 1, right? So for example, you're at 0, it'll wrap around the end to the front. So I wish I could draw you a diagram here if you want to know more about ring buffers, but I'm not going to go over that today. Okay, so we can get last input command as well. So now we're good. Okay, and we want to see if this is false. And I forgot. That's not the syntax for false, right? Is it not an index in Zig? I forgot, because this is used for special things, right? Actually, I don't want to do. Sorry. So we want to do this, and we want to do up, right? For example, and we want to do dot up, right? We want to see if that is pressed. And it's not this. Is it not in Zig? I don't know. No, it is correct. I think that is correct. So, what is the issue here? Do I need to wrap this? Oh, wait. This is not how switch works, is it? Sorry. I need to look at the syntax for switch. I think it might be a comma. That's C. It's giving me values for C. Sorry. Where do we have a switch at? I know we have a switch somewhere. Ugh. There was a switch somewhere in our code. I really need to limit this to my own project here instead of all this other stuff that's included. Let's just jump back to our Zig notes. Okay. Oh, it's a comma. It's a comma. That's what I thought. Okay. Going back. We don't do this. We do a comma, right? For everything else. So, I'm just going to build real quick to see if this is giving what we want. Oh, it has to be up. So this would actually give us whether or not up is pressed, right? And we go ahead and just do attack because this is the first thing we want to check is attack. So we'll fill out the rest of the array here in a second. And there might be a way for us to simplify it so we don't have to do this manually every time, like actually pull this. Okay. Unused constant. Hold on a second. Pressed visible. We are at number 32. Oh yeah, sorry. So we need to turn pressed. That's the issue. Okay. Oh, they did not like that at all. So it's not. I have to handle all the cases in the switch. I know. I think there is. I think there's another thing I can do is like default or something. Hold on. Or ignore. I forget what it's called. There it is. Yeah, the fall through is this one. Okay, that's right. Okay, the fall through is this. And we're just gonna do false. That should work. That should catch everything else while we come back and implement it. Okay. 47 common states. Switch of exhaustive enum has prong. I thought we could just fall through like that. Huh? We can't do that. Is that cheating? This is for values that are greater than this. Okay. I thought we could have a fall through on this stuff. Okay. Okay, I'm lazy, so I'm lazy for now. I'm just gonna go. We'll get through all this here in a bit. Up, down, left. I'll fix that here in a second, as you can see. It's back, forward, attack. I think that's all of them. Up, and when you actually go to where it's called in our common states, and when you pass in the value we want, which is I think is input names dot attack, right? I think that's right. So that give us what we want. We have to include input here as well. So import. I think it's input.zig is probably where it is. I got a breakpoint. Where do we crash? Abort. Okay, yeah. Get input command. So what's the index? What's the problem? Can I watch this? It's a debug. Oh, here we go. Self. Yeah, I know that's the issue. But what about here? What did I mess up? Okay, so get current input is the issue. Is it because I didn't initialize this buffer? No, wait, the buffer's initialized. What's the issue? It only crashed when I'm trying to actually read the input, right? That's the interesting thing. Not when I'm actually updating it. Because when I update it, it seems fine. So I know what your size is. Is there any way for me to add a watch? I want to add a watch. I think it's Is it just self itself was a problem? Error reading register value. I think is the way I'm calling it. Might be an issue. I forgot. I think I actually do need to pass in a pointer. I think that's the issue. I think it actually needs to be a pointer. Let me try that. See if that solves the problem. Might have to do this as well. Oof. Yeah, it's gonna crash. Yeah. I know. I know it's gonna crash there because I didn't make this a pointer as well. One of those zig things that I forgot about. Probably. It's still broke in the same place. Hold on. What's it say? Class input component has no member buffer index. What? What? It says I have no buffer index. I do have a buffer index. So what's the issue? Input component has a buffer index. Is it because... Did not expect to get caught up in an error like this. Where else are we using, so I'm trying to see real quick, where else we're using, pointers. Okay. To make things easier. Does game state have any functions that... Does it create load persistent data? Okay. See, this is fine, just passing in... Okay. I ran into a zig issue. I think it's a zig issue. Maybe this is the fact that this input buffer is... So, is what I'm doing here right? Maybe I really should be doing something like this. I thought this is kind of shortcut, but let's just go through and see if this solves the problem. I don't know. Where's the issue at now? I'm gonna double check. Nope, that didn't solve it. So, what am I messing up here about zig? Let's check the zig documentation maybe. Struct functions or member functions. Or the structs. Struct naming. Let's try it. Let's look at their examples of self stuff. So vec3, you can just do that's fine. Okay. What about pointer? So I should be able to just, if this is a function that doesn't modify anything, this should just work. The only issue is this buffer index may be invalid value. Try something very obvious that I'm missing. Maybe the modulus is not working like I think it is actually. Probably is correct. Modulo, sorry. Not modulus. I don't know why I keep saying modulo. Modulus division, okay. For unsigned integers, it's the same as this, okay. Actually, correct. Okay, so what's the issue? What is the issue? Well, one thing we could do is just like eat the elephant one bite at a time. Do this real quick. Oh, sorry, we want to do this and see if everything works that way, and then we can go in and make changes elsewhere. What? Unused, oh. Sorry, unused function preliminary, okay. I think that's right, something like that. It's the cheat code. to avoid using a function. Okay, so it doesn't crash there. Okay, cool. So this is what introduces the crash. I don't think it needs to be a pointer. I think that's the thing. Okay, first of all, I don't think this needs to be a pointer. Oh, sorry. Okay, I think I make it const though. No, I think so. Expected type pointer to input component found. Pointer to const input component. Maybe, oh, that's the issue. Okay. That's right. So none of this needs to be a pointer, I think. That's all fine, first of all. We don't need to pass any address of things. Okay, still crashes, but it's kind of a... Unable to read memory, that's fine. What if I just type in context? Okay, here we go. I can read this stuff. Input component. Oh, we never properly that's what's going on. Input component isn't initialized. That's my bad. Okay. Makes a lot more sense now. I did remember that we need to go back to doing that. Somehow I forgot to do that before. So our other components are okay. Let's see. Where do we initialize everything? Let's search for it. Okay. So let's create an init character. So we're doing this like this. So we want to copy this and just initialize things like this. Input component equals I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Just to input components. Okay. That's one thing I would think we have to do. But I don't know if that's the full initialization step, actually. I think I know what to do. Hold on. No. We have input components. Right. We have an input components array. And then we need to initialize that somewhere. Where is that? It's not in the game. I thought it was in game simulation, maybe? No, it's physics system. Sorry. I'm sorry. It's probably not it. I think there's one more place we need to initialize it. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, I know that's the case. It's not in this one. Yeah. Game state equals. So I know we still need to have something like this for our physics component. So I need something like this real quick. I forgot about this aspect. Put component, yada. That should work. Global component. So wait, I did that. Oh, that's the problem. I don't know why I did this like this. I do have that, but I named it differently. That's annoying. Okay, let's just skip that for now. We'll have to update some stuff. I wish I did not name it differently. I think I know why I did it. I had some kind of like other architectural thing in mind, but you know what? I'm just gonna make everything consistent for now. We could change it in the future. Put components. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Okay, I got it. 44.4. Okay. Let's just replace everything in this file that's game state.input components. Oh, sorry. With this, with input components. That should fix a lot of that. Okay, should it fix it? No. Oh no, we have it somewhere else actually. And game simulation. Game simulation. Ugh, my typing's bad. A tab doesn't. I hate that. Okay. And we want to go to line 92. Actually, do we have? We do the same thing here. we want to replace it with input components. Actually, I'll make sure that's what we want. So go here. Yeah, that sounds it. Okay. So we have stuff in the reaction system. Okay, that's weird. I'm not sure why I have stuff there. Again, let's replace this. Okay, looks like it runs. It doesn't crash now. Yay! And now we have it. It's finally working. I press J, our attack button, and I'm holding it, and it's not applying the attack constantly. Now let's check the controller. So the controller also works. So there we have it, some basic input buffering. I think we'll continue to go through here and fill out all the code for the rest of the stuff that we want, and then I'll get into like special move inputs and stuff on the next stream. It's been about an hour, so I think that's a good place to stop. I always like to conclude with something that works. And we'll go through, we made a lot of changes to code, and let's go ahead and update all the things I think that need to change. So, and I'll either, like, in my free time, fill out the rest of those values in the switch statement for picking out the inputs, and then the next time we can just focus on special move inputs. Component, here we go. I think to make changes to this, I'm gonna ignore that. I don't think that matters for this. I think that's it. I think that's all we need is these changes. So let's go through and check real quick. Is it okay? Okay. So initial support for positive edge input checking. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's pretty much the basic concept for input buffering, and the simplest command is a positive edge input where you press the button and it detects when it was pressed, as opposed to just checking to see if the button is currently held. We could add a bunch of different utility functions now, things like is button pressed, is button released, is button held, do all this kind of stuff. And I might do that on my free time. I can demonstrate it maybe simply next time. I don't know. I haven't decided. But I definitely want to get to special move input detection where you have like quarter circles, shurikens, like dragon punch inputs, things like that. You know, the Z inputs. Maybe charge inputs as well. Maybe too big of a scope for next time. But we'll see. Anyway, does anybody have any questions about like the stuff I covered here? I know it was a little dry this time. It wasn't as exciting as fixing like edge case fighting game bugs, but I think it's an important initial step for understanding input buffering. I'll probably like rename the title of this video for the archive like input buffering positive edge inputs or something. Okay, well, if no one questions or anything like that, I'm probably going to head out here, but, you know, thank you all for dropping by, and I hope you all have a good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you may be. See y'all soon. Until then, have a good one. Peace.